So today is truly going to be different because I've decided that winter solstice is a celebration that has gone on since the beginning of time, because it is based on the fact that the sun has disappeared, and on either the 20th, the 21st, or the 22nd of December, excuse me, there were great celebrations since the beginning of time all over the world to celebrate, here comes the sun. Now I know when I say that, Carol immediately goes into singing. Because if you've ever been with Carol and you say something that reminds her of a song, she breaks out in singing. So I'm going to read about winter solstice because I think it's important, and then I'm going to read you a winter solstice story, much like our Christmas story, only based on the sun. So solstice, whoa, this queen chair is kind of different. Solstice means sun standing still. Did you realize that it looks like on this year it will be the 21st of December. It literally looks like the sun isn't moving. I did not know that, but that is what solstice means. So if we're fortunate enough for the sun to be out, we might look and see if we find that true. To pagans, winter solstice was the night that the great mother goddess gave birth to the new sun, restarting the cycle of the seasons. It is also called Yule because that's the day they would burn a big Yule log and hold celebrations about the sun coming back into existence. It would be added to a bonfire around at which everyone would dance and sing. In Roman times, it became the celebrations honoring Saturnus, the harvest god, and Mithras, the ancient god of life. A form of sun worship that could come to Rome from Syria a century before with the cult of Sol Invictus. It announced that winter is not forever, that life continues, and an invitation to stay in good spirit. It has been celebrated longer than the pyramids have existed. There was a 12-day festival by the people of Mesopotamia. They held a 12-day festival to help the god Marduk tame the monsters of chaos for one more year. There are hundreds of monoliths around the world that celebrate winter solstice. The one most famous is Stonehenge in England. If you can't make it there, did you know that there's a smaller one in the state of Washington down on the Columbia River? So if you can't go to England, you could go there. So anytime there is a solstice or an equinox, you will find people migrating down to the Columbia River because that's where they go celebrate. There is also a, other than Stonehenge, there is Seahenge, a Bronze Age timer circle, which was discovered in 1988, which is dated back to ancient times. In Catholic churches, they would build a place for the sun to come in so they could clock time. So even in our religious organizations, they honored the return of the sun. And so I think it's important, especially as a religious scientist, remember where we're open at the top and everybody is welcome, that we welcome all of these different types of celebrations, and this being the most ancient. So how many of you are going to do something on winter solstice? Yeah, see, there's a lot of people here that do things. I know that Zan is going to actually have a ceremony. Is that, or was that the new moon that I met?
Well, both.
Both, yeah. And so you could talk to her after service, and she would, she could tell you about that. So there's things that happen over Seattle. Exactly, share what's going on. Okay, So I'm going to read to you a story about the Yule fairies. It's a winter solstice story. And I think that you might find some common threads in it to what many of us believe. So a little group of fairies huddled in their home, deep under the roots of a giant oak tree. They were safe and snug in their tiny underground cave, lined with dandelion fluff, bird feathers, and dried moss. Outside, the wind blew cold, and snow fell softly down to cover the ground. "I saw the Sun King today," the fairy named Rose said as she pulled her mossy cloak tightly around her. "He looked so old and tired. As he walked off through the forest, what is wrong with him?" "The great oak said he's dying," answered Daffodil. "Dying? Oh, what will we do now?" Little Meadowgrass started to cry. "If the Sun King dies, our little plant friends will not grow. The birds will not come and sing again. Everything will be winter forever." Lilac, Dandelion, and Elder Blossom tried to comfort their friend, but they were all very sad as they huddled together. There was a knock on the tiny door. "Open up, fairies," called out a loud voice. "Why are you hiding instead of joining us in our solstice celebration?" Rose opened the door and the little gnome, Brown Nobby, pushed inside, shaking the glistening snowflakes off his brown coat and hat. "We are too sad to celebrate," Daffodil said, wiping her eyes. "The Sun King is dying. Haven't you heard?" "He's dead, silly fairies." Brown Nobby's round dark eyes sparkled with laughter. "Now hurry or we'll be late for the celebration." "How can we be happy and laughing?" Elder Blossom stamped her little foot and frowned at the gnome. "If the Sun King is dead, it will be winter always." "That's winter. We will never see the sun again." "Silly little child fairies," Brown Nobby grabbed Dandelion by the hand and pulled her to her feet. "There is a secret around the room. Hurry, hurry, don't be slow." "To the sacred oak grove, through the snow." He danced out of the door and disappeared. "What did that gnome mean?" Rose asked as she gathered up her cloak of dried rose petals held together with cobwebs and lined with loose down. "I don't know, but the lady lives in the sacred grove." Meadowgrass pulled on her hat. "Perhaps..." Could we just shut that off? And I don't have to be recorded?
I'm not sure where it's coming from.
It might be me? How could it possibly be me?
Yeah.
Excuse me, my husband plays with my hip. Okay, my fault. Yeah, stop breathing. Okay. Perhaps if we go see the goddess, she can explain what Brown Nobby was talking about. The fairies left their snug little home and trudged off through the snow toward the sacred oak grove. The forest was dark, with only the light of the moon shining down through the thick fir branches and bare limbs of maple and hawthorn. It was very difficult for them to go through the snow because they were very, very small. As they waded through the wet snow and shivered in the cold wind, they met a fox. "Where are you going, fairies?" the fox asked. To the sacred grove," they answered. They were cold and shivering. "Climb on my back, and I will take you there swiftly." The fox knelt down so the fairies could climb up. Then he raced off through the dark. "Listen," Lilac said as they neared the grove of sacred trees. "Someone is singing songs. A lot of someones." The beautiful music carried over the cold, still moonlit air. It was the most beautiful music the fairies had ever heard. The fox arrived the fairies right to the edge of the stone altar in the center of the grove. Then they knelt down. "Look," said Elder Blossom as they slid to the snow-covered ground. "There's the maiden and the mother and the old wise crone and many other little people. They're all smiling and happy," said Lilac as she looked around at all the creatures. "All the animals are here too," whispered Dandelion. "Why are they all looking at the mother?" The fairies moved closer to the three ladies seated on the altar stone. The mother held a bundle close in her arms, smiling down at it. The maiden reached down and took the fairies gently in her hands. She held them close to the mother so they could see what she held. "It's a baby," the fairies cried. "A new little baby. Look how he glows. He is the newborn Sun King," said the maiden, smiling. "But Brown Knobby and the old oak tree said that Sun King was dead." The fairies answered her, "How can this little baby be the Sun King?" That is the great secret of winter solstice. The old wise one touched the baby's cheek with her wrinkled hand. Every year, the Sun King must come to the sacred grove during the darkest days of winter, where he dies. I take this spirit to the mother who gives him new life again. This is the way for all creatures, not just the Sun King. "You mean everything lives and dies and lives again?" The fairies looked down in wonder at the baby Sun King nestled in the arms of the mother. "Yes, little ones," answered the old wise crone. "There is never an end of life. This is the great mystical secret of the winter solstice." The fairies laughed because they were so happy. "I think the little Sun King should have gifts," said Rose. "I will show him where the wild rose bloom in the early summer, and I will teach him to call the birds and listen to the songs of the wind," exclaimed Dandelion. "When he is older and stronger," said the mother, "then the flowers will bloom at his touch. The birds will return to sing their songs, and the air will be warm from his breath. And the winter will be gone for a time. Then the Sun King will run and play with you in the forest." The little fairies sang to the baby Sun King songs of the coming spring, the sweet-smelling flowers, the bumblebees, and all the secrets of the forest. And all the creatures within the sacred grove sang with them. Then the fox took them back to their snug home under the roots of the giant oak tree, where they dreamed wonderful dreams, waiting for the warmth of spring and the fun they would have with the little Sun King. And so, what does that story have to do with us? How many of us worry about our life and forget that we're eternal? That like the Sun King, there will be a time when each one of us will decide we're complete here. And we'll move on, and there'll be bright lights in our next journey, and there'll be bright lights that come here. And so even winter solstice, which probably a lot of religions around the world find their roots in, because it was the first way to celebrate. It was a celebration to dispense fear. It was a celebration to call in love, which was what Christine S. talked about this morning in her reading. That each one of us has that power of the Sun King. Each one of us gets to choose if we are going to be the light or if we are going to be the dark. And when we get into that dark place, to look around to know, not everybody goes into the dark at the same time, do they? And so to remember, when you're in your darkest time, the best place to be is right here in community. Because if you can't celebrate, you can pick up on the energy of the people in this room that aren't in a dark place, that can celebrate. I believe that's what community is all about. I believe that is why we celebrate so many traditions in December. It's a reminder, because each celebration is about bringing in light. Whether we call it the Son of God, whether we call it the Sun King, whatever we choose to call it in whatever religion, what we are doing is inviting that light into our soul, to remember who we are at the very core of our being. Because you will remember that the great prophet Jesus said, "This you shall do too, only better." And so that's what I'd like you to take into your heart today. As the winter solstice approaches, remembering that the days are going to get shorter and shorter this entire week. And because we haven't got enough rain, the whole week is going to be filled with rain. And to remember, like Christine S. said, we live in a place where that is important. To remember what it looks like in the spring and the summer here. How green it is. How beautiful our flowers are. And it's because of our extended, I don't know what we call winter here, our rain season, our extended rain season. And so why don't we pray? If you want, you can close your eyes. And this time, I call in the maiden and the crone and the mother. Because just like Father, Mother, God, Spirit, they too live in each and every one of us. We are filled with that which always has been, always will be, and certainly is present right here and right now in each and every one of you. I want you to take a moment to just breathe and feel your breath as it easily and effortlessly goes in and out of your body. And now I want you to take a moment and just allow your body to really feel the beat of your heart, which is something we do not have to tell it to do. It is that gift from on high, our design, if you will, that allows our heart just to beat to the rhythm of the earth. And so this week I invite each one of us to remember that we are all of it. That God in its infinite wisdom has given us that light, that love, that knowing. As within, so without. And so when darkness is upon us, be it the time of the season, be it a human condition that has happened to us, that we call on that light within. That we remember from deep inside of ourselves that we all are all three. We are the Father, the Mother, the Spirit. We are the old crone, the new babe. We are everything that God has planted on this earth, and so much more. And so to remember that, especially as we move through this holiday season, to anchor ourselves in that truth, to feel that compassion for ourselves and for others, and to hold on high the love of oneself, to remember the truth of our beingness, and to find that compassion within ourselves to not only to love others, but to love ourselves fully and deeply, as that divine presence loves us unconditionally. So I say thank you for this time, for this space, for this celebration of life itself. Whether it be the baby Jesus, the Sun King, or whatever is celebrated across the world at this time of year. It is a new beginning, It is way of being. It is life itself. It is each and every one of you. So I call it good because I know it's God, and together we say, and so it is.